Now let's talk about assessing internal linking. The first step towards internal linking optimization is the diagnosis. Analyzing whether pages are linked properly or whether there are problems such as broken links can reveal technical and website taxonomy issues. One of the fastest and easiest way to ascertain which pages are interlinked the most and therefore deemed more important by search engines is to use your Google Search Console account. Look at the Internal Links report under the Search Traffic section in Google Search Console. Are the most important pages for your business listed at the top? For e-commerce websites, those are usually the categories listed in the primary navigation. In this image, notice the shop/checkout/cart directory. The URL is the second most linked page on the website. This makes sense from a user standpoint because this link must be present on most pages. However, the cart link is not important for search engines, so you can disallow the entire checkout directory in robots.txt to prevent everything under it from being crawled. In this screen cap, you can see how the shopping cart link is, for some reason, the only link that's followed. Next, let's see how each page is linked anchor text-wise. For this, we'll use one of the best, yet underestimated on-page SEO crawler and audit tool, the IIS SEO Toolkit. You don't hear the SEO community talk much about this tool, maybe because it's Microsoft technology. However, the flexibility and extended functionalities of this free SEO toolkit are better than Xenu and at least at par with Screaming Frog. The IIS SEO toolkit is free, which makes it a great tool to start with. Unfortunately, the development of the IIS SEO toolkit has been stopped years ago, so it can't really compete with the new enterprise crawlers. Once you identified and fixed all the problems reported by the IIS SEO toolkit, you can consider upgrading to an enterprise tool such as Botify, TipCrawl, or On Demand. These monthly costs were estimates based on 5 million URLs crawled per month. There are virtually thousands of ways to analyze your website with this toolkit, and you can slice and dice the SEO data in almost any way you can imagine. Install the tool on your Windows machine and run your first crawl. It's simple to set up and it doesn't require a separate IIS server, as the name implies. The tool uses the default IIS server in Windows, so you might need to activate the IIS server component. Also, Windows 10 users will have to go through an additional fix to make it run. I've posted instructions on how to do it in the resources section of the course. Now let's see how you can use the toolkit to identify some major internal linking issues. Finding broken links with this toolkit is a breeze, just like it should be with any decent crawler. You can find the broken links report under the violations section or the content section. You already know that broken links are an issue that needs attention because it hinders user experience as well. So use the toolkit to identify and take care of them. The general SEO wisdom is that any page should be accessible in as few clicks as possible. 4 or even 5 levels is okay and acceptable for users and bots, but any more becomes problematic. URLs buried 24 levels deep, as in this screenshot, suggests that there is a problem with the internal linking. In this example, the issue stemmed from malformed URLs that were creating circular references. Use the Pages with Most Links report in the Links section of the tool to identify the number of outgoing links from each page on your website. Sort the data by count to get a quick idea of where the problems are. In most cases, the number of links on the same page template should be similar. However, in this case, there's a quick jump from about 300 to around 900 links for the same template, the product detail page. When you find such big differences, check the pages that seem off the charts. Investigate why there are so many links compared to the other pages. The Pages with Most Links report is also available in the Violations section. The Most Linked Pages report can help you identify internal hubs. In terms of website taxonomy and internal linking, a hub is a parent with lots of children linking back to it. Usually, the largest link hubs on e-commerce websites are the homepage and the category pages linked from the primary navigation. If you see other pages at the top, you might have internal linking issues. The number of products under a certain category also influences how many links a category gets. The Most Linked Page report is very similar to the Internal Links report in Google Search Console. The numbers in this image highlight 3 issues. First, the Most Linked page doesn't have a title tag. Second, the shopping cart URL seems to be getting too many internal links. Because the shopping cart URL was dynamic in this case, bots will try to access it from multiple pages, which is not ideal. Third, a significant number of internal links point to 301 redirects. This suggests that somewhere in the primary navigation, there's a link to a 301 redirect. Whenever possible, link directly to the final URL. To dig more deeply and get additional details on how each URL is linked, right-click the URL you would like to analyze and then click on View Group Details in New Query. Then click on Add Remove Columns and add the link text column. Then click on Execute at the top left to update the report. Regarding Section 1 in this screenshot, if a page is linked using an image link, the IIS SEO toolkit doesn't report the alt text of the image. This is one of the few downsides of this toolkit. In Section 2, I highlighted a mismatch between the anchor text and the linked page. This page is linked using the customer service anchor text, which is wrong because the linked page is not the customer service page. Look for this kind of mismatch in your analysis. Next, let's aggregate anchor text. Click on Group By, then select Link Text in the Group By tab and hit Execute. You will get a count of each anchor text pointing to that particular URL. To analyze a different URL, simply change the value in the linked URL field. If you find that a page is linked with too many varying anchor text, you need to evaluate how close the anchor texts are semantically and taxonomically. Ideally, you will link to category pages consistently using the category name, but a few variations in the anchor text are acceptable. For example, you can link to the office furniture category with the anchor text office furniture, but you can also link using furniture for the office. When you link to product detail pages from product listing pages, use the product name as the anchor text. If you link to PDPs from blogs, user guides, or other content-rich pages, you can vary the anchor text. The anchor text can include details such as product attributes, brands, and manufacturers. To get an overall picture of the site-wide anchor text distribution, you need to create custom reports, which are called queries in the IIS SEO toolkit. This is where the enormous flexibility of the tool comes in handy. To create a custom report, go to the dashboard, click on the Query dropdown, and select the new link query. In the New tab, select the field name values as depicted in this image. In the Group tab, select Link Text from the dropdown. Then click Execute. There you have it. This is the internal anchor text distribution for the entire website. In this example, notice a couple of things that need to be investigated further. First, why does the Most Linked page have no anchor text? Second, how about blocking bots' access to the shopping cart link? In this example, notice a couple of things that need to be investigated further. First, why does the most linked page have no anchor text? Second, how about blocking bots' access to the shopping cart link? If you want to look at a fancy visualization of your hub pages, use the export function of the AIS SEO toolkit to generate the list of all URLs. Then import that file into a data visualization tool. This image is a visualization example generated with Gephi. You can find tutorials on how to generate link graphs using Google's Fusion Tables, Node Excel, or Gephi at the bottom of the slide. Using the redirects report will help identify internal PageRank leaks, unnecessary 302 or 301 redirects, and undesirable header response codes. To make the analysis easier, you can sort by linking URL to see the issues grouped by page. Two notes for this screenshot. First, the currency selection is kept in the URL rather than in a cookie. For this website, each currency selection generated a unique URL on almost every single page of the website, which is bad. Second, instead of linking to a URL that returns a 301, link directly to the final destination. The unnecessary redirects report is also available in the violations section. The toolkit can also help you identify URLs roboted by mistake. Use the links blocked by robots.txt report to find such URLs. In this example, the help.aspx page is blocked with robots.txt. Don't block bot access to help pages or similar pages such as FAQs or Q&As. You want people who have questions about your products or services to be able to find such pages straight from a search engine query. The content on these pages has the potential to reduce calls to customer service. Because the help page is located under the common directory, which is blocked with robots.txt, search engines will not be able to access it, and the help page will not be indexed. In the links blocked by robots.txt report, look for pages and URLs that should be indexed but are blocked by mistake. The protocols report displays the various protocols used to link internally to resources on the website. If your website uses both non-secure HTTP and secure HTTPS protocols, what happens when visitors go back and forth between HTTP and HTTPS pages? Do they get warning messages in the browser? We know that shopping carts, logins, and checkout pages should be secure, and such pages don't need to be indexed by search engines. However, it's best to switch everything to HTTPS. Keep in mind that when you switch from non-secure HTTP to secure HTTPS, there might be a temporary drop in traffic. Here are some other common internal linking mistakes. Inconsistent linking. This happens when you link to the same page with multiple URL variations, for example, when linking to the homepage with URLs such as mysite.com and www.mysite.com. Default page dispersal. This is when you link to index files rather than to root directories. For example, many webmasters link to index.php when linking to home pages. Instead, you have to link to the root directory, which is just the slash. Case sensitivity that leads to 404 not found errors. For instance, Apache servers are case sensitive, so if you link to the URL product-name.html using uppercase P instead of lowercase p, the server may return an error. Mixed URL paths. This happens when you link to the same file using absolute and relative paths. This is not an SEO issue per se, however, adopting standardized URL referencing helps with troubleshooting web dev issues. Also, if you use absolute paths, when content scrappers steal content, they may still leave the absolute links to your URLs. When you assess your competitors' internal linking from an SEO perspective, compare the source code generated with Googlebot used as user agent and JavaScript disabled with the source code generated when you use the browser's default user agent. Are there any internal linking differences? You should also analyze the internal linking differences between the cached version and the live page.